Defend yourself against DDoS attacks by hiding your true IP address with ExpressVPN, and visit my custom link expressvpn.com/ghilliemaster in the description to find out how you can get an extra 3 months free. Hey everyone, and welcome to another gtaonline video here on the channel. With the past couple of updates, we've gotten hundreds more vehicles through the addition of the missile lock-on jammer. But in my opinion, there are still some key vehicles that definitely could use the lock-on jammer upgrade to make them more balanced within the game, but they just don't have it yet. So in this video, I've come up with 7 vehicles that I think would be fitting for a lock-on jammer upgrade. And perhaps some of them will be in the next DLC, and if not, hopefully onward after that in the next DLC after this one. So the first vehicle that I think deserves a lock-on jammer upgrade is the Weaponized Tampa. Be honest with me guys, when is the last time you saw someone use a Weaponized Tampa in gtaonline free mode? And the next question to follow up with that, how long did that Weaponized Tampa survive before being blown up by a missile? Honestly, what the Weaponized Tampa really needs is an armor buff to be on par with the Traidor and a lock-on jammer to make it so that the counters are only heavy armor on the ground. But at the very least, a lock-on jammer alone would be nice so that it doesn't just die the second an oppressor or any air vehicle shows up to the fight. It's a muscle car, so it can't really do any maneuvers or jukes to avoid rockets, and it just gets entirely demolished at that point. Also, if this vehicle were to get Traidor armor and a lock-on jammer, it would also be a nice counter to things like the Night Shark or even the Traidor itself, because those dual miniguns absolutely shred people on foot and people out of vehicles. So I would absolutely like to see this get some love in the next update. The second vehicle on the list is none other than the Zhaba. A lot of you guys probably have forgotten that this vehicle even exists. That's about how common it is to see in free mode. But the Zhaba is actually quite a good vehicle. For one, it has armor, so it takes around 14 or so homing rockets to blow it up. And it has bullet-resistant windows as well, like the other mindset cars do, or at least the older mindset cars from the contract update. And the people that you carry in the back can also use things like assault rifles or LMGs. And the best part, it's an amphibious vehicle, so you can drive it on the water. Now, the downside of that, though, is that it's very slow when doing that, and even on land, it's not the quickest vehicle around. It's about as fast as a tank, if not a little bit faster, maybe. So as you can imagine, guess what vehicles just ruin its day? That's right, missile spam vehicles like the Oppressor Mark II, and because of its shape and the weight of the vehicle, it's very light, you kind of just get pushed around by the missiles if you get hit by even one. So this having a lock-on jammer would be the perfect fit, I feel. I don't really see how this would be any better than the Virtue, for example, if it had a missile jammer. You probably still wouldn't see it used very often because you can't throw sticky bombs from it. That's a big deal. But it would just be another vehicle that you could use to deter the missile spam morons. Up next, how about the Shafter V12 Armored? Now, admittedly, when I was making this video, I was a bit confused because I had thought that this vehicle already had a lock-on jammer, but upon further investigation, it's actually the Armored Cognoscenti 55, the Armored Baller, and the Armored Shafter LWB that have the lock-on jammers. But for whatever reason, Rockstar left out the Shafter V12 Armored. This one does not have a lock-on jammer upgrade that you can apply, which is very odd to me. It looks like it's just a really obvious oversight. Or perhaps because this is one of the cheaper ones, they didn't want people to have a cheap lock-on jammer vehicle. I don't really know. But that also doesn't really make sense because the Duke of Death is free and that one has a lock-on jammer, so I really don't know what their thought process was here. It's gotta just be an oversight. And these vehicles with lock-on jammers serve as kind of a midpoint between the mindset vehicles because while they aren't as armored as the mindset cars are, they are also a whole lot cheaper. Although you could then argue that it's pointless because you need to own an agency or the GTA Plus garage to equip lock-on jammers anyways. So at that point, you might as well just buy an actual mindset car. So maybe they should just buff the armor on these vehicles as well to match the mindset armor plating vehicles. I mean, they do look the exact same in their armor styles, but just a simple lock-on jammer addition would be fine, just to bring the Shafter V12 Armored up to par with the other ones that released alongside with it. Moving on, how about the Armored Kuruma? This was once one of the best vehicles to use many, many years ago now, about, what, 10 years ago now? Going on a decade here? But then the power creep came along, and we now have far, far better vehicles for surviving in this game, especially in free mode. And even if you gave this vehicle a lock-on jammer, the Armored Kuruma would probably still be just railgun fodder because it still blows up in just one missile anyways. But at least it would give oppressors a harder time killing you if you ever wanted to use it for grinding in free mode for whatever reason. The Kuruma definitely should get some love. I wouldn't even be opposed to this getting an HSW upgrade too to make it faster for grinding. Alright, now this suggestion might make some people angry, but I say give the Ruiner 2000 a lock-on jammer. And really, all special vehicles from the import-export update should have innate lock-on jammers. The Ruiner 2000 is already obsolete when we have the Toreador and the Scramjet in this game, or even things like the Stromberg from like 8 years ago make the Ruiner useless. Or even when you directly compare it to the Deluxo, it's just a straight up upgrade, because the Deluxo has pretty much the same missiles, but it holds 30 of them, and it can fly forever, unlike the Ruiner 2000 where it's parachuting. And because it's a Ruiner vehicle, it's slow and it has terrible handling, quite frankly. So it having an innate lock-on jammer would not be that bad considering its other downsides. And what's funny is the only way the Ruiner 2000 is actually used in today's GT Online is when people use it with the fully loaded job. And guess what it has in that job? A lock-on jammer. Of course, it also has unlimited missiles and Night Shark armor that also helps too, but it just having a slight resemblance of its fully loaded version with a lock-on jammer would go a very long way, I feel. And Oppressor Mark IIs would really fear this vehicle again if that were to be the case. You'd call this vehicle in just for that reason alone, likely, because that's probably all you have missiles for anyways, is to shoot down a Mark II, and then you have to go restock. Speaking of ground vehicles with great missiles that are just useless, the Chernobog. The funniest thing about the Chernobog is that it's meant to counter aircraft, right? It's an anti-air vehicle, but the easiest way to destroy the Chernobog and to counter the Chernobog is also via lock-on missiles from aircraft. That to me just doesn't make any sense at all, that it's harder for an anti-aircraft vehicle to kill aircraft than it is for the aircraft to kill it. So the Chernobog having a lock-on jammer is a no-brainer to me. Aircraft should not be able to take the Chernobog out easily with missiles just like that. Free aim missiles or bombs, sure, that requires a bit more effort. Still not a lot of effort. I also think the Chernobog should just get a slight armor buff to be in line with a Toreador. Because of that reason, it would still die very quickly to free aim missiles and bombs, even with a lock-on jammer. But it would at least do something for it if it had a lock-on jammer upgrade for it. And the final vehicle or set of vehicles that I think deserve a lock-on jammer upgrade are all of the Arena War vehicles. Only for free mode though. In the Arena War modes, they should not be immune to lock-on missiles because those are part of the mode. But in free mode, Arena War vehicles are pretty useless. They die so fast to explosives. The Cerberus kills itself with its own flamethrower if you try to use it. It's just laughably pathetic. And they already die from what, like 4 missiles or something anyways? So just not good at all. And they also don't have the best weapons regardless that would even be remotely considered strong if you gave these vehicles a lock-on jammer. The fact of the matter is, the only fun that you can have with these Arena War vehicles in free mode is shunt hopping. And guess what happens when you try to do that? You get locked onto and spammed by Mark II Oppressor missiles. So give these vehicles lock-on jammers so that just doesn't happen. We need more vehicles that the Mark II Oppressor just struggles to kill or has a hard time to do anything against so that people are forced to use anything else in this game. Anyways, that is my list of vehicles that I would like to see get lock-on jammer upgrades. But I'm sure there are many vehicles that I missed that are in also dire need of some buffs like a lock-on jammer. So let me know down in the comments what vehicles you guys think would be a good fit for a lock-on jammer. And if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like as well as subscribe to my channel for more GT Online content. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.